Hey guys, welcome back into Legacy. So, doing yet another one of our fantasy alternatives to D&D today, and I'm going to hit another one of our generics that's actually a really good game for simulating fantasy. Although, I'll say this one for this game, while I think it's a great fantasy alternative, it's not for everyone because the hero system is a little more crunch than people are comfortable with. Come on. Sorry, I'm getting harassed by a cat. Of course I am. Hang on a second. She's stuck in the chair. There you go. And I'm going to go with Fantasy Hero, particularly Fantasy Hero Complete, because the one thing I love about the Complete books, which I have this one in PDF, I have behind me over here somewhere. I think it's next shelf up. It might be, I don't know. It's somewhere above me. Is actually Champions Complete, which is what Fantasy Hero Complete is built on. Basically, what they did is the Hero System guys, Steve Long and them, decided to take all the rules needed to run Fantasy Hero or Champions. In this case, we're talking about Fantasy Hero, and they put all the rules in one book. It's about 265 pages, and it is a pretty stout little book. It can be expanded by using the core rules from Hero itself on things like power creation, yada yada yada. Or you can get the Complete Powers book, which is designed for champions but could be used and reskinned for fantasy. Um, Now, first thing we're going to discuss the elephant in the room. Character creation for fantasy hero or hero system in general is extremely complicated. Lots of math, not the easiest character creation process in the world, but it gives you some of the most detailed and controllable characters you can ever think of. Because what you get to do with it is you get the ability to develop characters exactly how you see them, as opposed to games that give you set about powers or set abilities or anything like that. You really get to build your character the way you envision your character working. That includes with the special abilities you get and everything else. So, like if you want to build a paladin with a certain special ability, you build that ability, you give it limitations plus enhancements and everything else, and all of that goes into one big pile. And it makes the character you've chosen, the character you want, rather than the character that everybody else is going to play when they play, say, a paladin or an archer or a magician. So spells are treated just like powers. So when you create a spell, you create it just like a power. So it's really, it all comes down to the system itself is generic, but when you put the fantasy skin over it, it's very easy to do. And it also all comes down to the fact that it's not class based; it's based purely on skills, attributes, and then of course you have talents and complications and things like that. Um, all of that being said, Fantasy Hero is a great system if you're looking for a very simulationist, complete uh, game that allows you to play characters that don't all feel the same, uh, and has a really detailed level of combat and skill use and all of that. I will say this: as far as the baseline mechanics of the game go, a lot of people miss the baseline mechanics because of the complication with things like with things such as character creation, power creation, all that stuff kind of clouds people. The base system is very simple. It's you roll 3d6, you're trying to roll under the skill rating or under the rating. So if I'm rolling, say I'm rolling a dodge check and I have a 14 in the skill, I'm rolling 3d6, I'm trying to get under it. That's it, period. Nothing more difficult than that. Um, Combat can be a little wonky, mostly because of the speed ratings and the phases. There's 12 phases to the game in combat, which, depending on the speed of your character, you get to act in certain phases, they act like initiative passes do in Shadowrun. So there's that. Just keep in mind that when you're playing this game, it's crunchy. It's got a lot of heft to it, which means that character death and stuff shouldn't be something that you just run into real regularly, unless you're playing with a GM who's a complete dick. Um, but that doesn't mean that character wounding and taking a lot of damage and things are not possible. Absolutely, you're going to take punishment. You're going to get beat down pretty good because taking damage in this system is pretty easy. But you shouldn't be aiming to kill the characters if you're a GM. Fantasy Hero in general, though, is a great system. I really encourage you, if you get a chance, to check out Hero Complete, particularly Fantasy Hero Complete. Champions Complete is really good too. Like I said, I don't know where it's at. I'm too lazy to turn around and get it. I also have the complete powers book. So, but it's a great game. Just if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for that kind of crunchy, hefty system that lets you really kind of, it's gonna go hand in hand with another system I'm probably gonna talk about next, which as far as versatility goes. Although I find the next system I'm talking about, which is GURPS, Fantasy GURPS, especially when you add things like Mainstorm and things like that into it, um, very similar in its versatility to GURPS, but it has a lot more heft than GURPS does. GURPS is a highly realistic system. Character creation in GURPS can be complicated, but only in so much as your GM is let in a ton of splat books to complicate it. Baseline character creation for GURPS is about, I think I can create a GURPS character out of the core book 30 minutes or less. Now you start throwing in splat books, don't even think about it. Hero, be prepared to spend an hour or so, maybe longer, on a character. Uh, be prepared with a calculator. You're going to need it. Or with an auto-calculating sheet that does all that work for you, where you just punch in the numbers and it tells you what you need to know. Because I promise you, you're going to need it. You're going to need all that information. You're going to need a lot of math. Fantasy Hero is a good game. Hero in general is a good game. I think people have forgotten that Hero is a good game because of, like I said, it gets overlooked because of the character creation process and the mathematics of character creation, the idea of half dice, and not going to get too much into the system, but just know that once you get a feel for the system, it's not a system that you pick up and you learn in 10 minutes either, but it's a system that's well worth knowing. And if you do know the system, I promise you, you'll be a lot happier with the game once you know it. And you really will. Anyways, guys, hopefully you guys keep having fun, and we do hope to see you guys around the game table at some point.